let's get straight to Ukraine. We've just been speaking to the leader of the opposition, Sir Keir Starmer. We asked him if he thought that Russia should or could be kicked out of the UN. They're on the Security Council, which seems ridiculous given what they're doing in Ukraine. His view was, as a lawyer, that they probably can. It would be complicated, but it could be done. Not necessarily today. There are other priorities, but down the road, yes, Russia should be ejected from the United Nations. What's your view on that?
Look, I think that Russia, when it comes to international organisations, the UN obviously is a leading one. Its membership of all these organisations should be considered. But in terms of actually doing something like that in practice, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure about the legalities. I'm not sure practically if it's even possible, given the role that Russia has in the UN, as you say, as a permanent member of the Security Council. But it is, I think, more broadly, it is important that the whole international community does whatever it can to support Ukraine and to ostracize Russia, whether that's with economic sanctions, it's diplomatically, and also by helping Ukraine, making sure that Ukraine eventually is a free and sovereign nation and Russia is defeated in this war.
If Russia remains in the United Nations, then the United Nations is a busted wheel, isn't it? It's useless. It can't do anything because they have a veto.
Look, the United Nations is far from perfect. That said, I think it plays an important role. I think given that almost every country in the world is a member, it does mean that there will be disputes. I mean, its whole nature is to try and arbitrate amongst these disputes. But when you have a power like Russia with the power it has in the UN, then clearly it has the right to veto anything it doesn't like. That's exactly what it's been doing. But even when we've seen the votes in the UN, even if Russia has vetoed them, I still think they play an important role by showing the whole world that almost every country in the world, I think the last vote a few weeks ago against the invasion of Ukraine, Russia only had 3 or 4 countries that actually supported it. It shows that how Russia is an outcast in the international community, and I think that in itself still plays an important role.
Is Putin a war criminal, in your view?
Whether he is or not as a legal matter is for the International Criminal Court, the ICC, and I'm pleased that we are supporting it, including with money.
Is he a war criminal? Do you feel you have enough evidence?
In my yes. I've said that before. I've said it, and obviously just if you look in the last few days, the information that we are all seeing on the atrocities that are being committed, the appalling atrocities, just outside Kiev.
We all see that. So why has Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, not called him a war criminal in the way that other nations' leaders have yet?
Well, to be fair, you've just asked me for, in my personal view. Of course, I'm going by the information that I have, and I have expressed a personal view. But I think it is fair to set out that whether someone is a war criminal or not, it is a matter for an independent court. That is an important process. We can help that process in a huge way by supporting the court in gathering evidence. That is something that the UK, with our allies, the US and others, is something that we can make a huge contribution to. And we have played a very important crowd role in previous prosecutions as well.
With words, because we can't instantly get the weapons there to help the Ukrainians. We can't instantly push Russia out of the UN. We don't seem to be able to instantly do anything to stop the horrors that we've already seen happening right now as you and I talk, Mr. Javid. When we're left with only words, it's hard for people to understand what is holding Boris Johnson back, because that would be powerful, wouldn't it?
Well, we're not left with only words. I think I do have to differ with you there. I think I can certainly agree that we'd all love to see more being done, but the response of the international community, for example, the economic sanctions that are absolutely crippling Russia economically, the announcement by the EU just yesterday of further sanctions. There's further discussions taking place in the G7 imminently on further sanctions, the military aid, the humanitarian support, all of that is making a huge, huge difference.
All right, national insurance goes up today. Huge suspicion out there. It's flooding in to our emails and texts this morning. People don't trust the government to spend it on the National Health Service or on care. They're worried that it's going to be frittered away on other causes. Can you absolutely guarantee that every penny of this national insurance rise is going to go on the national health and social care?
Yes. And the reason this extra spending is taking place is because of the pandemic. The pandemic has created huge pressures. The biggest challenge, I think, to fair to say, in living memory for this country. The impact of it will be there in the health and care system for many years. It does need more funding, alongside reform as well, but it does need more funding. It's £39 billion of additional funding for health and care over the next 3 years. The new levy that you've just referred to, every penny of that will be going towards that £39 billion.
All right, Chris, one of our viewers, says that he's his wife's carer, and he wants us to ask you this. He says, why, when my national insurance goes up today, is my wife's care package being cut by 50%? How can this be right?
Well, look, I don't know Chris's personal circumstances, but what I can say is that we are all of us, we all contribute collectively to paying for the NHS and towards adult social care. Through this new funding, through the levy, there will be an additional £5.4 billion going into adult social care over the next 3 years. It will mean, for instance, that millions more people will get means-tested support in a much more generous system than we have today. It will mean that everyone is protected against the catastrophic costs of care, and it will mean more support for the workforce in adult social care, both to recruit more, but for those that are there at the moment to provide more training and more support. Okay. And I think all of this will help to improve adult social care.
All right, Minister, thank you for your time. Have a good day.